Hey everybody, I'm Brad with Old Glory Knives. In this 10-minute video, I'm going to go over my process and how I finish out my Old Glory scales to a finished product. On this model, the Survivor, a lot of times I finish it out with the spine just slightly exposed. So with that process, I finish these scales out before I attach them to the blade itself. And the process is going to be the same if you go ahead and epoxy your handle onto your knife. One thing you want to keep in mind, you probably already know this, is you want to finish this out 100% before you epoxy it on, and you can finish the rest out. But for this particular set, I'm going to finish out the handles before I attach them to the blade. There's also a longer version of this video, about 20 minutes. I'm going to try to keep this one to about 10 minutes. All right, to begin with, there is a front and back, and they'll come as one piece. There will be a sticker on the back indicating what's the front, what's the back. All right, so we're going to split these right down the middle. All right, so after I take the stickers off the back side, I want to identify what's the back, so I just put a mark on it. That way when I'm working, I don't accidentally put the handle on backwards. So this is the back. So now we're gonna bolt these scales onto the blade. Okay, so I use a small wheel attachment on my OBM 2x72 grinder. If you don't have one of those, this part you can do with a Dremel. It's just a matter of getting into the curves, getting right up to the metal. So one thing you want to keep in mind is starting out, you want to use a 36 grit or a 60. I use a 36 starting out, and the purpose for that is if you use a finer grit, it's going to burn your scales. So take off the most of the material with the larger grit and then work your way up to the finer grits. Okay, at this point, I have the shape I want with the 36 grit. I'm going to jump to 120 grit and then 220 grit. As much as I can do on the 2x72, and then I'll go to a Dremel. Alright y'all, here we go, final stretch. So everything's shaped up on the 2x72, 120 and 220 grit. So what I do is I switch to hand sanding to 220. I do that to blend everything in case there's some deep spots from the grinder, and then I finish it out with 500, and then I go to the buffer. I also have my Dremel in case there's some deep spots from using the grinder. I'll be able to blend everything in, and then like I said, finish it out, blend everything in with hand sanding with 220 up to 500, then buffer. Here we go. Alright, at your 500 grit level, you're going to start seeing the deeper scratches start to reveal themselves, and they're going to look white. There's going to be white scratches. So if there's a little spot right there. I briefly hit this, but you can see those white deeper lines. So that's where we're going to really pay attention to now. The rest of this has been sanded. There's no white lines showing through, so that's all good, ready for the buffer. And the other thing I do is I put my fingernail behind the sandpaper to really get into those deeper spots. See, like this area right here. One tip I want to share is I do my hand sanding on top of a microfiber cloth that's folded over twice on top of a table. A couple reasons for that. Like if I'm getting into this area here, hand sanding, I'm putting a lot of pressure on this corner right here. With this micarta, you could damage this if this is on a hard surface and you're putting all that pressure down. So that helps protect it quite a bit while you're doing your sanding. The other thing is I'll fold my sandpaper, put it flat down, and if I have an area that's rounded off, I'll just kind of rotate the handle as I'm moving it around, do the sanding. That gives it a little give. Okay, so it's sanded to 500 grit. You can see the image really starts to come through now. There's no real significant white scratches anywhere, so I'd say it's ready for the buffer. Okay, here we are at the buffer. I hit it with a medium and a fine. Alright, scales are all finished up, all buffed and ready to put on the knife. And I'll eventually put a little bit of thread lock on these. I'm happy with how everything looks, and thread lock will just keep it from vibrating loose